Okay, so I want to say thank you to everyone that is tuning in. If you don't know me, my name is Kara Stevens, aka the Frugal Feminista. I'm the founder of the personal finance and lifestyle blog, The Frugal Feminista, where I empower and inspire women with giving them tips and tools on ways to use money to live the life that they want. And so tonight I wanted to do a broadcast. It's been a while to talk about budgeting. 5 basic budgeting tips to move your money situation from flawed to flawless. So there's an understanding what budgets are about. There's so much negativity and I think anxiety around money, but in particular budgeting, because people think that budgets keep you from living the life that you really want, when the reality is that a budget allows you to live the life that you want, because it really shows you what you can do now versus what you can do later. So I want to talk to you tonight about, if you're having trouble with your budget, what to do with your budget, how to start budgeting, how to get your mindset ready around making money and making your money situation better. I wanted to leave you with a couple of tips and then leave opportunities for you to ask questions about money, about budgeting, about savings, all right? So the first budgeting basic that I want to talk to you about is organizing yourself. So when it comes to budgeting, you want to first get clear about where your money is. And what I mean by that, not just the actual paper where you'll write down how much money you have, but also just in your home environment where your money is. So let's talk about organization. Organization. The first thing I want you to think about is having a nifty calendar, like I have right here, right? This calendar says July 2015, and it's an empty one, but just same way that you have a social life, you want to have a financial life. So I want you to get a basic calendar, and on it, in different colors, one color I want you to write when you have certain bills to pay. So is your Chase credit card bill due on the 27th? So all the money that's coming out, I want you to actually put it in one color. And the money that's coming in, I want you to draw it in a different color. I just want to make sure that everyone is viewing. So excuse any technical difficulties. Okay, so Patricia, can you check in? Someone else has checked in. So Patricia, you're in? Okay, great. Just making sure that we're all here. Okay. So can you just type in for me, Patricia, if you can hear me, just to make sure? Okay, so some can, some can't. So as I was saying before, that with your calendar, what you're going to do is really jot down what your financial life is in real numbers. So if you have, with your financial calendar, I want you to think about everything that happens in your financial life every month. So when is the rent due? When is utilities due? When do you get paid? Put that in there too. If you're expecting a certain amount of income from a real estate property or from disability, put everything on here to show your financial life, what it looks like in one sitting. I think sometimes we think of budgeting only as money going out, but we also have to think about money coming in and what that looks like on a monthly basis at a glance. Because when we see it at a glance, we can say, wow, the first part of the month is very bill heavy, so maybe I may need to do some extra things with my money around that time. Versus the end of the month, where you may see that there's more bills, or there's more money to come, so you can make different arrangements then. So you can make social arrangements better, going out better. You can decide when it's a good time to say yes to an invitation or no to an invitation, depending on what's in your budget. So the first thing I want you to do in terms of organization is create a financial calendar for yourself. All right? A second idea for organization is I want you to buy or get envelopes, right? This makes organizing very, very, very easy. This is an example of one of my envelopes that I use for my budgeting. In it, I put any extra checks from overtime. So yellow is for overtime money. You can get these from Staples for a couple of bucks, and there's several of them, so you can color code them. So one may be extra money from a side hustle. Another color may be for bills from a credit card. Another color could be for student loans. So thinking about organizing yourself, this is a really easy way to be able to manage your bills and to manage the income that's coming in. So consider that another piece for organizing. Now, the third thing I want you to think about is having your bills all in one place. I talked about having these different envelopes, but it's important where you're going to actually store these envelopes. So in my home, I live in an apartment, I put all of my bills, no matter what time I get them, I always make sure that I put them on the desk as soon as I get home. So I'll go to the mailbox, get the bills, and put them, and then I'll sort them into their respective envelopes. So that's another way that you can make sure that you're able to keep yourself organized. And also, going back to the calendar, when you have a calendar, you can also decide to get precise and decide what part of the month am I going to actually sit down and pay attention to my bills. So you can decide that the 18th and the 31st of the month are the 2 days that you're first going to pay all your bills or pay the first part of your bills, and at the end of the month, that's when you're going to begin to think about your next set of budgeting, or what you're going to plan for your next month of budgeting. So for those of you that are new, that just got in, I'm going to do a quick recap. So I talked first about budgeting and how first you need to organize yourself. So I talked about organizing yourself first by having a financial calendar. We always talk about having our social life and having our social life all filled out, but we don't really talk about having a financial calendar and seeing what we have in terms of money throughout the month. So I suggest printing something out really that's free online and just writing down everything that comes in terms of money into your life in a month. So that could be both the income that's coming in, so how much money you make, what days you get paid, and when bills are due. So when is your mortgage or your rent due? When is the car payment due? When is the insurance? So when you have it all written out at a glance, you can see at a glance when you're very money light, when there's not a lot of money in your life because of where the bills are clustering, or where there's a lot of cash flow because there's bills have been paid and there's more money. And that also gives you an opportunity to decide if you should shift and reach out to your lenders to say, hey, I need you to move the due date around for me so you can have more cash readily for other things, right? So have a calendar, and all that calendar as well, make sure you choose the dates that you want to actually sit down and pay your bills. And choose another date where you're actually going to create your calendar or your financial calendar for the next month. So this is super, super, super important to having a budget basic that will relieve you of any guesswork as to when money is coming in, when is it coming out, and when can you make do, what kind of plans can you make with friends, because if there's no money at the end of the month, then you're not going out, okay? So this looks kind of dark. I hope you guys can see me. All right. So I talked about that, and I also talked about picking up, and I'm not endorsing Staples, okay? I bought these from Staples just to keep myself organized with the different types of bills. And these are really cute color-coded envelopes that are sturdy, so you can only buy them once. And they're color-coded. You can get them for different types of things. I put extra checks, like extra income. So yellow means extra income. There's blue, there's yellow, and you could put them in for maybe your student loan bills, or you could put them in for your credit card bills, or you can decide, or your mortgage payments, whatever it is. But you can color code your bills and know and keep yourself organized and see at a glance what to do, what's not due, what's heavy, what envelope is heavy, maybe you haven't been attending to it. I'm sorry for those that already heard this, but there were a few that just got in, so I just wanted to bring them up to speed. And I also said keeping your money and your bills in one place is extremely important as a budgeting basic. Like I said, I live in an apartment, and as soon as I get the mail from downstairs, I put all the bills and sort them at the desk as soon as I get home, even before I run to the bathroom, because sometimes I have to run to the bathroom. But I make sure I do that, and I'm strictly and super organized. So it may not be by date, but it is by type of bill. And when it's time for me to go back to my account and pick out a date, I know that I'll have all the information. There's no bills in the kitchen. There's no bills on the couch. I'm not dropping them there. My system is to pick up the mail, put it on the desk, sort it, and then be about my business. So make sure you have your ritual when it comes to organizing your money and your bills, so you don't have any issues and there's no overdrafts or late payments because you couldn't find a bill, which is part of the struggle. All right? So the next thing I want to talk to you about organizing is making sure you have one place for all of your loose change. My financial freedom bucket, if you guys were part of the Fat or Frugal, I had this big old cookie jar, and I have an affirmation. It says, Kara, you finish what you start. Love, Kara, start strong and stronger. I've been filling this financial freedom bucket, I call it, for the last couple of years. And now you can see the benefits of all my hard work and of being consistent and organized. You see, it's mad heavy. I can't even hold it for too long. But you can do the same. Get a cookie jar. I'm not saying steal a water bottle from work, but get a water bottle and just make sure you put all your loose change in it every night. If you can't do it every night, do it weekly. And then you'll see that you'll be able to budget money right there. There's something that just came in. I'm going to show it again. Look. The other way to organize is to get a bucket, get a cute affirmation for yourself, and continue to build your financial freedom. You see, this is mad heavy now because I've been building it for a while. So the first thing when it comes to budgeting is to get, organized, okay? So that's the first step. The second step I want to talk to you about, a budgeting basic, is to look at budgeting in a conceptual way. And what I mean by conceptual way, you know how people have like Excel sheets and they're like to the T and to the dollar and to the red penny and red cent. Well, there's some of us that just can't live with money like that because we're not there yet in terms of our financial acumen, our financial familiarity with money. So don't worry about it. Here's what you do. You're going to make a simple statement. You're going to write it down. You're going to say, by the end of the month, I want to save $400, if that's your goal. When you say I want to save $400 by the end of the month, that means that every week, if you divide 400 by 4, that means you'll be saving $100 a week. And if you only want to save Monday through Friday, how much is that? 100 divided by 5 is $20 a day, right? So instead of doing all these big algorithms and getting yourself all worked up, just decide how much you want to save by the end of the month and then work backwards. That helps you stay precise in terms of your goals. It stays realistic, and it allows you to systematically budget for it every single day. I'll say that again. So the second step to our budgeting basic webinar tonight, or Google Hangout tonight, is to figure out how much you want to save by the end of the month and then work backwards. Keep it simple. If you want to save $100, By the end of, say, August, and it's August 1st, that means you have 4 weeks to do so. 4 weeks in a month means $100 a day. If you save Monday through Friday and you give yourself 2 days off on the weekend, that means it's $20. So when you understand that, and you understand that budgeting is as simple as picking a number that you want to save towards, half your battle is done. It's not this kind of big thing in your head where you're like, I don't know, I have to get an Excel sheet, I need an accountant. No, you don't need that. You need to figure out what is a realistic number by the end of the month that you want to save by, and then work backwards and figure out those numbers. So if you can let me know what, I'm still learning how to do this thing, so pardon me, but if you could share with me what your number is, like how much money do you think you would like to save by the end of the month, and be realistic and break it down for me. Okay, and I'll look for it hopefully in the comment section a little bit later, because I don't think I know. I don't want to move on and then get us out this Google Hangout and then you don't have anything, all right? So I talked about, first thing is to get organized, right? Second thing is to get precise and pick a specific number that you want to save by the end of the month, and have a conceptual understanding about savings instead of this kind of crazy, you know, spreadsheet, worksheet thing that you may not ever really stick with, okay? So that's number 2. Number 3, I want you to think about in a budgeting basic is to automate your savings and your bills. First, why are you going to automate your savings? You're going to automate your savings because you need to pay yourself first. That's what the concept means of paying yourself first. Paying yourself first is that you consider yourself a bill, a really important bill. You've invested school, you invested time and energy, and you have to pay yourself first. So remember that $400 that I talked about in step number 2 to budgeting? I want you to think about paying yourself first. So if you get paid 2 times in a month, that means on the first of the month, you automate $200 to come out of your check first. You don't touch it, you don't see it. And then at the 15th of the month, that's when you get your pay period, you're going to take out another $200. It's automated. So you're not even taking it out. You're setting it up with your bank. Ally Bank has a good automation. Any of your banks have good automation. You just have to set it up and call your bank representative. Capital One 360 as well. And then when you save this and you have it automatically withdrawn, it makes it difficult, especially with online banks, because it requires between 48 and 72 hours for you to access that money. More than likely, you can't touch it. So you don't even get to touch the money. So it's helping you save even faster, because you have less access to that money. And the less access you have, the faster it can grow. All right? So when you're thinking about automating, think about first automating your savings and paying yourself first. And when you're thinking about automating, also automate your bills. Why? Because when you pay late, that affects your credit score. So 65% of your credit score comes from your ability to pay on time and to pay in full each month. So keeping your credit card payments low, it means in terms of how much you put onto your credit card, is very important to keeping a healthy credit score, but also paying on time also impacts your credit score. So when you automate your bills, you're taking the guesswork out of you impacting and jeopardizing a healthy credit score, because it is already taken care of. So speak to your bank representative about how to set up automation for, number 1, like I said, your savings, because you come first, and 2, for your bills. All right, so that's the 3rd budgeting basic. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you. The 4th budgeting basic is to pick a rule of thumb. Right? What does that mean? It's hard to say, Kara, how much should I save? Kara, how much should I spend? Kara, how much, how much, how much? Well, there are lots of things out there that say how much you should save, how much you should spend, how much you should go towards savings, how much you should spend on your necessities, and how much you should spend on your wants. And I get it, because I subscribe to rules of thumb at the beginning, because it gives you something to go towards, especially if you're looking for something to support you. But listen, I'm going to give you 2 rules of thumb, but then I'm going to contradict it and say something completely different, but you'll understand why in a second. So hold on. That's my New York accent. Hold on. Sorry. Okay. So the first rule of thumb is the 50-30-20 rule. If you follow me on the Frugal Feminista on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, but mostly on Twitter, and you're on the site, then you would know that I often give that as a rule of thumb: 50-30-20. 50% of your income should go towards your necessities: food, shelter, clothing. And what I mean by food, I'm not talking about 5-star dining. I'm not talking about whole food. I'm talking about just regular food, your groceries. Transportation, that means your car or your Metro card or your motorbike, or whatever it is that you use to get from work to work, from school, etc. And then housing, how much are you paying for rent or for your mortgage? That's what, and healthcare. So those are the basics, right? So your basics are 50% of your income. 30% of your income is supposed to go to your wants. So you want to travel, you want that bag, you want to have that retreat or that spa treatment, that's where 30% of your income can go to. That's where you're allowed to have fun with your money. You're allowed to enjoy your money, because money is just not meant to be there for bills. It's there to enjoy. That's why we work so hard. And the other rule of thumb is 20%. 20% is where you get your savings ideas from, like your rule of thumb for savings. So 20% can go toward your investments or towards your savings, right? So the 50-30-20 rule is a quick and dirty way that you can begin to save for, if you don't have an idea of how you should save. But here's the thing. Let's say you make $1 million. Does that mean how much, like, in 50% of that is 500,000, and then 30% of that is 300,000, and 20% of that is 200,000? Does that mean you're going to spend $300,000 worth of buying things because that's how much it says? Of course not. But it's a rule of thumb. And let's just say that you have $50,000, but most of your bills are so high that you can only save 10% or maybe even 5% of your income. Does that mean that you should just forget about it and not begin to save? Of course not. Of course not. But your financial situation at that time is allowing you to only save 10%, then you do it. But this 50-30-20 rule of thumb is an idea for those of us that are in a financial situation where we can afford to save, but we're not, and helps us get a framework so we can begin to be more mindful of our money and our spending. So that was the first rule of thumb, and that was a contradiction that came right after it. And the second rule of thumb is another rule. It's called the 3 E's. It's called for 70% of your income goes toward essentials like food, clothing, shelter. The other E goes to, I guess, entertainment. I mean, it's the two E's. 30% for everything else like entertainment, and 70% for essentials. So that's another way that you can look at it. But again, 70% of your income does not have to go towards your housing, and 30% doesn't have to go towards, I'm sorry, let me say it again. So 70% goes towards your essentials. 15%, my bad, goes towards your end game, meaning your retirement. And the other 15% goes towards everything else, including your entertainment. So 70, 15, 15. If that rule of thumb works for you, then use it. But if it doesn't, then don't do it. But this is something you can also use to help you really understand what you should be doing with your money. So that was number 4, and I'll recap it. So some of us need a rule of thumb, some of us need like a heuristic, they call it, for us to deal with our finances because we have no idea. So where you start is understanding this rule of thumb. There's the 50-30-20 rule and the 70-15-15 rule, all right? So the next budgeting basic that I want to talk to you about has more to do with who you hang out with. And what I mean with that is sometimes you're pressured to spend and your budget gets broken, not because of you're necessarily spending more on things that you love or things that you want, but because you're around people who are financially dependent on you and you haven't erected financial boundaries. So one of the ways that you can begin to protect yourself financially is to begin to think about ways to ensure that you protect yourself from financial, I don't want to call them freeloaders, but from people who don't make the financially most positive decisions with their money. So here are a couple of things that you can do. You can, if they ask to borrow money, you can say, my finances aren't allowing me to do that right now. I'm sorry. And continue to say that until they may get tired of asking you for money. A second thing you can do is with that is you can just say, honestly, I have a lot of bills to pay, and be upfront about, I can't lend you this, say $1,000 like you're asking, but here's $50 towards, excuse me, towards what you want to do. So you can preserve the friendship or preserve the relationship without putting yourself in a financially precarious situation. And for the women out here, if you're women out there that are watching, I know for African American women who often are the chief breadwinners and caregivers of their families, this is why a lot of us aren't prepared for retirement. This is why a lot of us can't pay ourselves first, because we're being the financial ATM and caregiver for adult people who make consistently bad financial decisions. So one of the big things I want you to think about is, how are you going to protect yourself from people who don't really have strong financial acumen and don't want to actually improve it? So one, I said, just be very vague and say, my finances aren't allowing me to do that. Two is to not give them the amount they want as a loan, but just give them a small percentage that you're not afraid to lose. A third thing to do that we often don't do is to sit down and help them create a budget and say, let me see exactly why you need this money. Because if it's an emergency, it happens once. But if it happens 2, 3, 4, 5 times, then it's chronic. It's not an emergency. It's a bad habit. Okay? And you have to be honest about where you want to see yourself and your financial goals and your ability to meet them. If you have this person or this presence, this financial presence in your life that's actually taking away from your financial ability to get there. All right? So that was number 4. Really be able to be clear about who you have around you in terms of finances and see if they're actually a positive impact on your finances or if they're a negative impact on your finances. And the last one, in terms of a budgeting basic. The last budgeting basic that I want to talk to you about is to also make more room in your budget to increase your income. What do I mean by that? So if you're struggling with making money or making ends meet, not just go into budgeting thinking about ways to save money, but I want you to think about ways to make money. There are only 3 ways to really increase your income, and one of those ways is to reduce your spending. The second one is to increase your income, and the third one is to do both. So you can do both savings and increasing your income through a side hustle or entrepreneurial endeavor that will really help you begin to see more of your money, so you can actually have higher savings goals. You can put more percentage toward investments, more towards savings, more towards retirement, more towards the things that you want. So that was the 5th idea about budgeting basics. So what are some of the ideas in terms of your entrepreneurial endeavors? Thinking about what can you actually do that you can be good at and be paid for. One of the activities that I've done, and I've seen it work a lot, is if you email your 5 to 10 closest acquaintances and friends and ask them, what is it that you like the most about me? Or what is it that you identify and associate with me the most? I had a friend do this the other day. Her name is Vanessa. And in her responses, people said, you know, Vanessa, you're really good at listening. You're really good in terms of spirituality. You're really good at helping women with their fashion sense. So in understanding and taking that data and feedback from her friend, she decided to say, hey, maybe what I can do is begin to coach women on ways to look their best, right? For me, I've had people tell me, Carrie, you're a pretty straightforward kind of woman. You like to write. I enjoy your sense of humor, and you're good with money, right? So one of the things that I can see you doing is talking about money, helping women with money, all those kinds of things. So that's where the Frugal Feminista and before this, Fabulous and Frugal came, because of people's ability to see something in me that I might not have necessarily thought could become something entrepreneurial or something that I really, really enjoy. So what I want you to do after you get off this call is to begin to think about, what exactly am I good at? And if you don't know, don't stress out. Ask people about you. Ask people that you know to say, hey, what is it that you know about me? What is it that you like about me? And what do you see me being able to do, or a service or a product that I can help other people do that they can't do very well by themselves? Okay, so those were the 5 budgeting basics, but I have a bonus because that's how I roll. One of the things I want you to think about, I have it here, is to think about the technology piece in your life. If you are having trouble with just keeping track of everything, keeping track of savings, there are 2 links that I wanted to share with you, or 2 sites or resources that you can use to help support your savings initiatives. So the first one is mint.com. A lot of us have heard of it in terms of being able to track our spending, to track our goals. And I think it's an excellent resource for you to download. You can use it on your app, on your phone, or you could use it online. And actually, I was lying. There's like a couple of ones I want to share with you. And the second thing is Digit. It automates your savings. I'm not getting paid for anything. It's just like resources that I know. There's Digit. It's like a new up-and-coming way that automates your savings by looking at your spending habits, and also rewards you for the savings that you do. So Digit, D-I-G-I-T, like the number Digit. And of course, if you wanted to get your credit scores, here are 2 sites that I recommend. Credit Karma, a lot of us know about that, but also Credit Sesame. They pull one of the credit scores from one of the major bureaus. I think one is TransUnion, one is Experian, for you to see what your credit score is. Okay, so why am I asking you and sharing all that with you? Because, I mean, I want to. A lot of you are coming from the Facebook $20 cash crash diet, and you want to learn how to save. And I wanted to provide you with these basic tips and tools so you can feel revved up and loved up and feel like you have some practical things to do. Now, if you just got on this call, I'm noticing that. I want you to, I'm going to write this all up, but I'm only going to send it to those on my email list. So I'm going to need you to sign up for the email list so you can receive updates on what we just did, updates on the next webinar or Google Hangout. And once I get better at it, hopefully everyone can see and hear, and you get all the information that you need. But I'm also having, what I want to talk to you about is I'm having a free, Fix My Finances Fast 5-day savings challenge via email. So I'm gonna give you the link in the in the messages. I want you to sign up so you can get the information and a recap of all the 5 budgeting basics that I just went through, and so you can also get front row access to my Fix My Finances Fast savings challenge, where you'll get 5 days of practical tips and tools to help you move from having 0 in your emergency fund to having $1,000 within 3 months, just by following basic tips. I teach you how to have a $500 cushion. I teach you how much you need to have in your emergency fund. I teach you why your money mindset is probably the most important thing when it comes to savings, besides the actual tips and tools that I give you. So it's completely free, no strings attached. Look, no strings attached. I'm really passionate about what I do, and I want you guys to be a part of the community, and I want you to spread the word about it. So I've talked for about 35 minutes. I'm exhausted, and I'm just playing. But I want to leave you any opportunities to talk about anything that was just discussed, anything you have about budgeting in particular and savings in particular. If we're talking about credit scores and debt, that'd be for another time. We're only tonight talking about what we talked about today, how to better save and how to better budget. So I'm leaving it open, and I'll leave the links to the Fix My Finances Fast savings challenge in the links below. All right. So I'm opening up to any questions that you may have. So just fire away. And once I figure out how to do this, I'll fire back. Right. So I'm going to leave the link here if you want to go ahead and sign up for that. But you can leave me a message. What questions do you have? Please don't be shy because we have time. And I'm super excited that you guys came because I was like, this is my first one in a long time. So I'm super stoked that you stayed through, whoever is there. And I want to answer your questions, so please don't be shy. And also let me know what other webinars you'd want to have or broadcasts so I can make that available to you. Just leave your questions in the comment section. Okay, so it seems like we don't have any questions, which is fine, but I would love for you to sign up. It really helps you build at least a 4-figure emergency fund on the way to 5 figures by systematically using the things that we talked about in tonight's broadcast. I'm really super serious about the way that we treat ourselves and the way we treat money. And I think there's a direct correlation between the two. And I'm here as a support. Go to thefrugalfeminista.com and browse all of the free material that you have to get the support that you need. We are here to help, and I'm really happy that you are here. So any other questions? If not, you guys have a great night. And if you're shy, you can email me here at Kara@thefrugalfeminista. If you have a particular question about savings and budgeting that you don't want everyone else to know about your business, I get it. I get it. It could be a very unnerving topic. But don't be shy in terms of sending those emails then, all right? Because that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here to help. All right, ladies. So if you want to catch me, tweet me at The Frugal Feminista. That's usually where I am. I'm on Facebook, but more than likely on Twitter. And you can always email me, all right? So if there's no one else that has anything else to ask or any comments, then I will see you back at the website, all right? You guys have a great night. Good night.